Hi folks, this is the baby ringnecks, and they are weaned now, so it's really hard to keep them in one place for a video, so that's one reason why I haven't been really doing any update videos. They're weaning, and they're eating just really this week, just for the past few days, but now that they're cracking sunflower seeds, they're eating their fresh food, they're really liking the corn on the cob and digging into that, which, you know, I don't know that I really always want them eating just sweet corn or whatever, but it is really a great tool for weaning, and I really like to get them into more things like, you know, the mixed vegetables with the carrots and the green beans and the peas, and it's so funny how some birds just leave certain things, you know, like some birds will just eat all the carrots and some will leave all the peas. I mean, they're just like kids. It's funny too because it can be in different settings, different cages. It can be so funny because you'll have one bowl that's full of peas and one that's full of carrots. It's so funny. Just how their personalities are different. But these guys are so beautiful. So we're looking at 226. And it's 2/26 for their hatch date. And what's today, the 26th? 25th. So there you go. So they're, you know, they're about 8 or 9 weeks old. And just at 2 months. Hey baby, what you doing? Come here, baby. Come on. Ah. And as you can see, I've clipped their wings. Not to where they can't do anything, especially that turquoise one. He just flew across the room, and I had to fine tune it a little bit. But with ringnecks, I mean, especially when there's 3 babies like this, you can't even hardly wean them without clipping their wings, because once one takes off, they're such copycats. All 3 of them all take off flying in different directions, or after the first one, and they're flying into the windows and stuff like that. So I do clip the wings. I mean, I try not to. If I only had like one last baby, I can probably handle one, but not when there's several of them going on. So yeah, I do. But I try to fine tune it so that they can still fly halfway decent, and they're not like falling to the ground. You know, they're it's manageable. And of course, you know, then by the time you work with them and you get them used to you and things like that, they can, like this, the turquoise one, I just fine-tuned took another 1/4 inch off his flight, his flight feathers, just to try to fine-tune it, you know, not to ground him necessarily. Come here, baby. Come on. Come on. I mean, they can still get a little bit of uplift, but to me, it really helps. And I think when you get as you get the babies as new owners, when you take them out like this, you want them to sit with you for a while you're first getting introduced to them, and they will, of course, grow those feathers back. And in fact, when I clip them this early like this, a lot of times what happens is the feathers are still kind of growing out. They're not blood feathers that I'm clipping, but they're grown in feathers, and I'm just clipping the tips of them. It's almost just like trimming down the flights, and so I'm pretty careful with it. And they a lot of times what happens is those feathers still continue to grow out, and then they end up still being able to fly. But as you can see, they're all sitting here nicely with me because they know that their wings are a little bit hindered, so they're not like, well, we're going to make a run for it. It's just like, hey, let's play with this toy here, you know, which is what I want them to do. Sit here by the counter with me while I cut vegetables or cook breakfast, and you know, kind of go about my day a little bit, and they can hang out here. They were all just kind of sitting on the perch. They weren't eating, so I thought, well, this would be a good time to take them out. And Josie and Poppy are in the background. They're mellow right now. They actually, Sophie and Everest are in the background too. You don't hear any begging. So Everest is finally getting over his, when he sees me, you know, begging. He's sitting there with Sophie right now. Kind of, they're preening each other's feathers, and I've already fed them too. And what happens is that Sophie, she's pretty much weaned now too, and she'll go down and sit at the bowl, and then Everest will follow her down. And that's just something really that's happened in the last, you know, I mean, I didn't exactly note it the day, but I did notice that he stopped kind of begging at me. But then when he does beg, I know that he's really hungry, like at night. So I gave him a good feeding last night around midnight, and that's usually keeping him now, like through the day. So, and Sophie, she doesn't fuss about anything. She's a good eater, and she's like, you know, 620 grams. She's full weight, and she's not losing anything. So Sophie is actually ready to go home. I think I'll try to make one more video with Sophie, and we'll see if Everest can maintain. And then he's just like 3 weeks behind her, right? So but Sophie is I'll see them both sitting down at their food bowl. Sophie will go down there, and he's finally catching up with her a little bit. So otherwise, so you can hear that it's really pretty quiet here right now. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and this is kind of, sometimes this is nap time, you know, and then around 4 or 5 it gets noisy. So, and then like in the morning, like if I try to make a video too close to morning, like around 10 o'clock or 11 or something like that, it can be kind of busy. So so this is just and I thought, well, I want the Ringnecks to kind of stay sweet for their owners. So I thought, let's take them out a little bit. I mounted the toy on the paper towel holder, and to give them something to hang out, you know, something to do while they hang out with me, you know, and they actually started taking advantage of it right away. You know, they went right to it and started pulling on the little strands, little rope strands, and that I do like that toy. The rope is not really long to where it's like creates a danger, in my view, in my estimation. And there's different kinds of, there's like a hemp rope, and then there's there is some cotton there. But I've heard some horror stories about rope. You want to be careful with it. It gets too tangly, and they get their foot caught in it. You know, Jamie Lee has spoken out against this, and in her opinion, not to have rope at all or whatever. But I'm pretty watchful with it. But I guess she spoke about a cockatoo owner that came home, and the bird had chewed its foot off or something like that after it got caught in the rope, and just a horrific mess, you know, and things like that. So, but this particular model I'm kind of okay with, and I've never had any issues with it. And yeah, birds can get themselves into quite a few little situations, so it's good to keep your eye on them. And fortunately for me, I don't have to. I'm not in the workplace working 40 hours a week anymore, so I'm just at home with my little self-employment deal, and so that works perfect for me, keeping an eye on the birds and whatever they got going on. I can keep an eye on. So I would advise people to do that. Don't get too carried away with long ropes and your toys, and be careful with that. Make sure. These ringnecks too, I've seen them even get their beaks in between the 1/2-inch bars and kind of start going crazy on that and rubbing on it or something, and then they get marks on their beaks, and birds can just get kind of exploratory, and sometimes you got to be careful they're not chewing on wires, and especially with current in them, different things, choke hazards, and I learned about mirrors and the bells hanging on the bottom of the toys. I don't really like that going on either. So anyway, folks, yeah, this is the whoa, come here, babe. Okay. See, and then once they figure out, oh, we're just flying like 4 or 5 feet to the floor, it does settle them down a little bit. And she can still fly, and she had a soft landing. It wasn't a thud on the floor or whatever. But then it settles them down, and to sit out with you, and then in that way they get a little bit more accustomed with you. They know that they can still fly off a little bit, and as time goes on, they keep trying and trying until eventually those feathers come back and it'll work next time, and then by then you can start to train them to come to you, and maybe you want to let them fly in their room, or you have an area for them and what have you, when you can keep an eye on them. And but when you keep flighted birds, be careful they don't go flying out the door, because or windows and things like that. I lost my very first pet cockatiel emptying the garbage, and she took a flight. She took a flight for the back door while I was going out the door, and I watched her sail to the top of a 100-foot tree, and big tall oak trees, and oh my goodness, I'm telling you, I was so sick. I lost, that was Rita, and that was my very first pet bird, and I was heartbroken. So, now on the bigger birds, I do not ever clip a cockatoo or a macaw. Never, ever, ever will I ever. Because they are not the flyers like these, little Indian ringnecks. You clip them and they'll never try to fly again, and that's not what we want. We want them to fly as much as possible, because they don't get all, they just don't have the ability to, go flying to the top of a tree without a certain amount of exercise and things like that. So with them, we want to encourage a little bit of flying so that they can, keep their muscles going. And if they have, after a while, if they haven't flown in a while, I've even taken my cockatoos outside, but without free flight training, but they get pretty paranoid out there because of hawks, planes. They look up. Their vision is so excellent. They're startled at a plane going over, and oh no, a plane taking off from the airport, and it's still, maybe it's only 1,000 feet, and what have you, and they're just startled like the thing is coming down right on them, and they're the predators. You got to be careful of that kind of stuff too. I've actually walked out my front door once, in the bushes. a bunch of sparrows sitting there. I had a red-tailed hawk come right 1 foot from my face as I opened the door, flew by with a sparrow that he just that quickly, while I was opening the door, swooped in, grabbed a sparrow, flew across the path of the front door, and I was like 1 to 2 feet away from his feet as he flew by, and I could actually see the eyes on that little sparrow, and it really didn't look startled or anything, just like wide-eyed, you know, and just took off to go be a part of nature's circle. And so you got to be careful with hawks and stuff too, especially if you're in a treed wooden area like I am. I get red tails, and I get broad wings, I get bald eagles, you know, hovering over the backyard. It's like, you know, you got to be careful of your little, if you have a smaller dog, you know, chihuahuas and stuff, you know, Pomeranians, and you got to be careful sometimes outside with the natural predators, you know. So yeah, I never clip the wings on the cockatoos or the macaws. That is a no-no. But I'm flexible. I'm flexible with these guys. Come on, baby. Still handleable. Handleable. Good babies, yes. Yes, good babies. So, there you go. Folks, the sweetest little birds. Keep them sweet. Keep them out, you know. Take them out of their cage. Let them sit with you. And let them be a part of the family. And they should stay sweet for you. So that's it for today, folks. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And this is probably going to be the last update on the first clutch of ringnecks. And I just hope that you got a little bit out of it and just have a good time kind of experiencing these babies like this. Take care.